I'm Dr. John Torres with NBC News. Tonight on Nightly News with Lester Holt, you're going to hear a couple stories about some myths that you thought were really factual in medicine and in health, and I'm going to debunk those right now because you're going to get some information on Nightly News. I'm going to give you more information here. Two different things. One, chicken versus beef. Which one's better for you? And number two, 10,000 steps. Do we really need to take that many, and where did that number come from? So let's start with the chicken and beef thing first. Well, for decades, I think most of us have been told, if you want to eat healthy, if you want to keep your cholesterol under control, pick the chicken over the beef. Well, a new study just came out in JAMA, the Journal of the American Medical Association, and it's debunking what we've all thought for decades. It turns out it doesn't matter if you eat red meat, chicken or beef, or you eat white meat, chicken or turkey, because it's one of those things that the meat type you select doesn't matter. The saturated fats in those meats matter. And to make sure I said it correctly, it's red meat, which is beef and pork, versus white meat, which is chicken and turkey. Here's what they found out in the study. They gave volunteers, a little over 100 volunteers, different diets over a couple of weeks. Then they checked their cholesterol level, their LDL, which is the bad cholesterol. That's the one that causes cardiac problems later in life if it goes uncontrolled. They gave them chicken or turkey, and they gave them beef or pork in the two different branches. They basically found out that it didn't matter what you were eating. If you're the red meat or the white meat person, what mattered is how much saturated fat was in that meat. So what does that mean? Well, that means if you pick a lean slice of beef, we're talking tenderloins, we're talking lean brisket, we're talking filet mignon, then that's going to do the same thing to your cholesterol that a lean piece of chicken will be. It'll help keep it under control. If on the other hand, you're getting a fatty piece of meat, we're talking prime rib, and you have a piece of chicken that has skin on it and a little bit of fat hanging off of it, well, that's going to cause the same cholesterol problems as the beef itself will. So the bottom line here, it's not the type of meat you eat. So this is not an avoid chicken, avoid beef, avoid pork. It's the saturated fats in those meats.
I have a question though. It sounds like if you just avoid the chicken skin, chicken is actually a better option.
Overall, chicken tends to be more lean than beef, or than red meats in particular. But you can get red meats that are very lean. And again, some of the ones I talked about: top sirloin, round steak, lean brisket, filet mignon. Those are very lean types of beef. And what the study found out is those lean types of beef and skinless chicken did the same thing to your cholesterol. And so again, it's not one of those things that one's healthier than the other because it depends on the levels of saturated fat. So again, pick the lean beef, pick the lean chicken, take the skin off of it. That's the thing that's going to help the most. The other thing they found out is one group actually went on a vegetarian diet. It was beans, fruits and vegetables, that type of and nuts. And what they found out is even if they had saturated fat in those diets, it didn't increase their cholesterol as much as the saturated fats in the meaty diet. So it's showing you moderation is the key. That's what you want to do. The second thing we're going to talk about is what's going to happen tonight when they talk about the 10,000 steps. Is that a myth? Is that something that we thought of and that we're thinking of it in the wrong way? Well, it turns out it is a bit of a myth. There's no real science behind 10,000 steps, but there is science behind how many steps you do need to take. Here's how it originated. Around 1964, Tokyo had its Olympics. In its Olympics, there were some marketers of pedometers. They would wear them on their belts, they would wear them on their wrists. The pedometers, they wanted to market them out there, so they started calling them 10,000 step meters. The reason they did that is because 10,000 step meters has a Japanese character in their alphabet that looks like a person walking. And so that was their way of marketing it. From then, everybody started saying, okay, 10,000 steps, seems like that's what we need. And it just kept perpetuating throughout the decades. Well, a new study came out saying that's not necessarily true. What they did is they looked at women, the average age 72, so these are elderly women, to see how many steps they walked and what that did to them over a time period. They found out that those that walked 4,400 steps had a much less chance of dying over that time period than those that walked less than that. And if you walked more than 4,400 steps, you increase your chances of not dying up until about 7,500 steps, and that's where it tapered off. That was the plateau. So the important message here is, do you need 10,000 steps? Not necessarily, but 10,000 is better than 2,000. And so you want to make sure you hit at least that 4,400 level. That's going to keep you from dying over the next few years. That's not necessarily going to get you in better shape. That's not going to help you lose weight, and it's certainly not going to help you train for the Olympics or for a marathon. So remember, this is particularly to keep you healthy over time periods. You might not need as much as you need, and we're finding out more and more it's the little things that count during the day that add to your health. So get out there and move. That's the message. So tonight at Nightly News, again, you're going to hear the stories about the chicken versus beef and pork, and the 10,000 steps. Do you really need to take it? Hopefully, I answer those questions here. I'm Dr. John Torres with NBC News, and thanks for watching.